Now, can you hear me now? You should be able to hear me now. Can you hear me now? Somebody let me know if you can hear me now. I apologize. I've been doing pretty good with this. I thought I had it going on, and I done messed around and y'all couldn't even hear me. Let's see here. Somebody gonna tell me if you can hear me now. Should have something now, Andre. Tell me you got something now. Yes. All right. Thank you, Gwendolyn. Thank you. Thank you. And I apologize for wasting your time. I know I had you on, but you can hear me now. So let me start back where I was. All right. And I'm not going to keep you long, but hey, if you got to get off, jump off. I just want to bring some good news to you. So, as I said earlier, that you did not hear, our scripture for today came from uh, Joshua 24 and 15. And it says, if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves this day who you will serve. Whether it's the gods which your fathers served that are on the other side of the river, the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. Watch what he says. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. All right. That's what Joshua was saying. And so from reading that scripture today, that's our scripture, our fasting and prayer scripture. So from reading that word today, I had a thought. And the thought I had came from, I wanted to deal with this particular scripture. Let me slow down. Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Joshua says, as far as me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And so what I wanted to take a few minutes and talk to you from tonight is train them and don't let them train you. Now, as I give you the 3 points I'm going to hit you with tonight, I want you to understand this is not just for young people. This is for some adults you have in your life that may act young, act like children, at times act small, act petty, whatever words you want to use. But I want to encourage you to train them and don't let them train you. All right. One of the biggest problems that we have, especially in today's time, when I was younger, when I was coming up, the parents had all the authority. Parents had all the control. And I don't care how old you got, even in your 30s and 40s, 50s, your parents still living, they still had the control. But we live in a society and a time now where children, young people in the mind that's adults, it's almost like they run everything. But I want to help you tonight to understand that if you don't take authority, if you don't have authority, they will train you instead of you training them. So Proverbs says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from you. What that means is the lessons that you give them now, they will carry them for a lifetime. It may not seem like it's working now. It may not seem productive now. It may seem like they're not hearing you now. But many of us that's on here tonight, we know that it was some things that our parents told us, and we really had hard heads. We were not listening. But now that we're older, we thank God for them lessons. Is that true? Okay. So here's the first point I want you to get right here. Here's the first point. When I talk about train them and don't let them train you, the first thing I want you to understand is you have to raise them and not let them raise you. You got to raise your child. You have to be the authority. You have to be the one who takes control. You have to be the one who initiates the lessons. You have to be the one who organizes the lessons. That's even in your home. You got some people in your home that as an adult, sometimes they act like children. Remember this, you are the adult. You set the atmosphere, the standards, and watch this, the schedule. You set the atmosphere in your home. you set the standards, and you set the schedule. In other words, your house is going to go as you plan for your house to go. They're going to follow the rules as you establish the rules. So here it is. Don't let their moods determine your obedience. Ooh, my. Don't let their moods determine your obedience to what's right. Don't let their moods determine your obedience to what's right. Here's what I mean by that. Oftentimes, they'll start having temper tantrums. They'll start going off. They'll start crying. They'll start kicking, yelling, and screaming. I'm talking about adults now. They'll start doing all that stuff. And all of a sudden, you let their moods determine what's going to be obedient in the house. Whatever you do, you cannot allow that. Listen, if they have a temper tantrum on aisle 3, you got to whoop them all the way to aisle 4. No, I'm just playing. Not advocating violence. You cannot allow the people in your lives, you can't let their moods determine your obedience. Once you do that, you have lost. So you have to be mindful of the fact that you're raising them. They're not raising you. Here's another thing I want you to grab. Don't let I don't feel like it become the culture in your house. Ooh, did you hear what I just said? Don't let I don't feel like it become the culture in your house. We have some children, they'll just tell you, I don't feel like it. I know what you said, but I don't feel like it. I don't feel like going to bed. I don't feel like washing the dishes. I don't feel like, and then you have some adults in your house that you all are talking about working and walking together. But then when it's time to come together, they say, I don't feel like it. Whatever you do, don't let I don't feel like it become the culture in your home. Because once that becomes the culture, you have lost control to a child or childish behavior. Okay. So from that first point, this is what I want you to do. Help them understand I can love you deeply and still lead you clearly. Somebody say that with me. I can love you deeply and still lead you clearly. In other words, we're going to have boundaries around here. And I love you and I have the responsibility to lead you. Okay. Here's the second point. Be the parent and not the partner. Ooh. Be the parent and not the partner. Some of y'all got some family on with you tonight, and you can tell them, listen, we have to be the parent and not the partner. Because what you have to understand is a child doesn't need another friend. They need a covering, they need a coach, and they need consistent authority. Your child does not need you to be their friend. They need you to be their parent and not be their partner. Because once you become a partner to your child and not a parent, they start cussing in front of you. They start disrespecting you. I don't feel like it becomes the culture in the house. And now you've lost control. So what you have to learn to do is don't give pouting power. Ooh, did I just say something then? Don't give pouting power. When they start pouting, don't give power till they pout. Sometimes kids will start pouting, and the parents just give in and they stop parenting and they stop leading. But you cannot give power to pouting. You have to understand that pouting is a part of manipulation. Wow. So when they start pouting, the first time they do it and they see they can have their way, they start pouting and you give in. You tell them, no, you can't have this. And they start crying and shouting and all that. And you give in to that. Now that becomes the culture. So understand, you can't give power to pouting. Here's something big that you can grab onto for that. Partners, when you become a partner with your child, partners negotiate, parents instruct. Did you hear what I said? Partners negotiate, but parents instruct. You have to understand that as a parent, you don't have to negotiate with your child. Now I know there are some things we may negotiate. If you do this, then I'll do that. I will negotiate the terms of this. But as a parent, you have the final authority. You have the final word. And there's some of you all that have grown children now. Let me tell you this. Sometimes loving them will cause you to leave them. Or flip it, loving them will cause them to leave you. When they're grown and you know that you've done the best you can with them, you've raised them, you've taught them. It's the same thing in relationships. You know, when you know you've loved them, when you know that the things you say is because you love them, sometimes loving them will cause you to have to leave them. Ooh. Sometimes loving them will cause them to leave you. But when you know you've done everything you can for the benefit and the betterment of them, sometimes you got to be willing to leave. Sometimes you have to be willing to lose them. Now, if you're married, I'm not advocating divorce. I'm saying when you have adults and children that act like children, there's times when you have to instruct and you cannot negotiate. Here's something else that'll go along with that. Partners split power. Parents carry responsibility. Ooh, grab that tonight. You get what I said? So what I'm talking about here is that when you act and you are the parent, partners split power. So when you're a child and you become a partner to them, y'all split the power. They tell you what they are not going to do and you accept it. But when you act as a parent, you carry the responsibility. So I'm not splitting the power with you. I'm not going to tell you what to do and then you come back and tell me what to do. No, I am the parent and I carry the authority. Or in a relationship, I am the authority. Because if you were the authority, we wouldn't have to deal with this. If you act like the authority, we wouldn't even have to have this conversation. So here's a closing line for you that you can live with on that. You're not called to be liked. You're called to lead. You get that? Listen, I've learned that over my adult life. And that's something that you need. You can take it to the bank and it will cash. You're not called to be liked. You are called to lead. I'm not called to be liked as a pastor. I'm not called to be liked as a parent. I'm not called to be liked as a counselor. Even when I'm teaching as a professor, I'm not called to be liked. I am called to lead. You have to understand this in your house. You're not called to be liked. If they don't like you, cool. You just keep leading. Too many parents stop leading because they are not liked. If your goal is to be liked, you will never be an effective leader. That's on in your job, in your home, in your church, your business, your marriage. If you are not going to lead, they'll like you. They'll like you. Watch this. They will like you because you're absent of strength and you are courageous with weakness. God, help me tonight. When you are strong, everybody ain't going to like you. When you walk in the authority that you have, everyone is not going to like you. And let me speak to this right here. We'll hit the third point and I'll get out of your way. Some of you, some of us, we have children that because we speak truth and they don't want to hear the truth, they'll walk away not to deal with the truth. For you, you can't stop telling the truth. I have a saying, and y'all know my saying, and it goes for adults, children. No, if you got hell in you, I'm going to love the hell out of you. You better learn how to love them and lead them and help them understand that this is what I was called to do as a parent. Some of you parents got little bitty children, little bitty people in your house, and you get tired of telling them, go sit down. Stop asking for this. You know the reason why you have to repeat it so many times? Because they don't take your word seriously. They don't take your authority seriously. That's why you have to keep repeating yourself. That's why you have to keep saying it over and over again, because they do not take your authority seriously. Why? Because you keep repeating yourself. You'll tell them, if you don't sit down, you're not going to get the candy. They don't sit down and still get the candy. If you don't stop acting like that, you're not going to go outside. They keep acting like that, and you still let them go outside. Wow. So the reason why you keep repeating yourself is because your word has no power. You repeat because there's a lack of power. Hope you got that. Here's the third point. Train them with consistency, not with convenience. Ooh. Did you get that? Train them with consistency and not with convenience. In other words, going back to my previous example, the reason why some of the people in your life do not take what you say seriously, because you're not consistent. Once you become consistent, they'll understand that they cannot manipulate or control you for convenience. It's very inconvenient to raise children. It's even more inconvenient to raise 30, 20, 19, or 40-year-old children. It's very inconvenient to be married to a child. It's very inconvenient to date a child. It's very inconvenient to lead children that are of certain ages. It's very inconvenient, but you have to have consistency. People will respect you more if you're consistent than if you keep on giving in. And I want to encourage somebody tonight. You're probably dealing with a situation with your family, with your children, spouse, or whatever. Stay consistent. Stay consistent. Here it is. Help them understand this right here. Correction is not rejection, but discipline is direction. Let me say that again. Y'all know I be freestyling and I like to rap. I like to give you things that hopefully you can remember. Here it is. I put it in the chat for you. Correction is not rejection, but discipline is direction. So when I correct you, I'm not rejecting you, but my discipline is directing you. So it's not when somebody is correcting a behavior, correcting attitude, that doesn't mean that they're rejecting you. That means that they're disciplining you because we're going in a certain direction. Y'all better grab that tonight. So you need to tell some folk in your life, because none of us want to be rejected. Nobody likes being rejected. But correction is not rejection. What I'm doing is providing discipline because we have to go in a certain direction. Here it is. Here's something else you can hold on to. I'm just trying to hit everybody so I can share some with everybody. Here it is. Write this down while I put it in the chat for you. The goal isn't control, it's character. You get that? So when you are training them and don't let them train you, the goal is never about control. It's about developing good character. You want your child to have good character when they leave your presence, right? And so it's amazing how many children control their parents because their parents don't want to lose their child friendship. You have to understand, I was never your friend in the first place. I told my son a long time ago, we'll be friends when you get your own place. When you're living on your own, you're paying your own bills, you're doing your own thing, and you don't have to depend on me. I can be your friend then, but as long as I pay the bills, as long as I make sure I pay for the heat to be on your body, the clothes to be on your back, my goal is not to control you. My goal is to help you when you get out of here to have good character. At my age, I never just go around cussing in front of my mama or get caught up in a conversation and I'm just cussing. No, because I have too much respect. Now, some of you all do that. I'm not saying you don't respect them. If that's how you carry your relationship, my conscience will not let me just be cussing in front and around and having a casual cussing conversation with my mama. No, can't do that. Here's one for you right here. And we're about to wrap this thing up. I want you to get this. You have to understand that what you permit today, you'll have to manage tomorrow. So if you're letting them get away with stuff and you're letting them do stuff today, and those who got little children in your house, or maybe you're a guardian, they may not even be your child, but you're raising them. What you permit today, you'll have to manage tomorrow. In other words, the behaviors that you permit today, you'll stay up at the school because they're always in the principal's office. Or you'll have to miss work because they've gotten suspended and they got to stay at home. And now you have to stay at home with them. Why? Because you permitted badness. And now that you permit it, it is now affecting you. It is now controlling you. It has now manipulated you. Why? Because you permitted it today. And now you have to manage it. Woo. There's some good stuff, even if you won't tell me this. Watch this. Train them in the way they should go, because if you don't train them, something else will. Wow. If you don't train them, the streets will train them. You have to understand this about people. Everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants someone to be a part of their life. Everybody wants somebody. And so when it comes to young people, when it comes in your home, when it comes to some adults, whatever gets them first has gotten them. Whatever shows them discipline, love, that's what'll get them. And so you have to understand that you have to train them the way they should go, because if you don't train them, something else or somebody else will. Here's the last thing I got for you, and I'm out of your way. Has this been good tonight? Has this helped you tonight? I wanted to do this because I've seen parents, I've seen grown folk lose friends because of family. So somebody was telling you the truth about your child, about your family member, and they were telling you the truth because they're a friend. And you cut off the friend for family because you did not want to hear the truth. Some people that tell you your child is bad, they telling you the truth. Your child is bad. Some people that tell you your child be cussing, they tell you the truth. Your child be cussing. I've had grown folk in my life that they know how they child, that this is, I'm talking about an adult child. You got a grown parent that has an adult child, and I have told that adult parent the truth about their adult child, and that adult parent lost friendship with me, knowing how that child is at the house, but act like that child couldn't act like that in public. Y'all better hear what I'm saying. And that child, the same child that they could not stand in private, is the same child we have to deal with in public. Raise them with love, but don't surrender leadership. Be the parent and not the partner, and stay consistent, because consistency becomes security. I'm gonna pop that in the chat for you. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna say that again. Raise them with love, but don't surrender your leadership. Be the parent and not the partner, and stay consistent, because your consistency becomes their security. The more consistent you are, the more secure they'll be. I pray that this helps somebody tonight. Love your child enough, your children enough, and even your grown children. Love them enough to help them understand that I am the authority. And I'm not the authority to parade authority over you. I'm the authority because I want to have security with you. I want you to know that I love you. So raise up a child in the way they should go, and don't let them raise you. Be the parent and not the partner. Remain consistent and not operate out of convenience. So I pray that this word blessed you tonight. Some of y'all are still on. And if you have a comment, or if you have a question, you want to ask me based up on what I just shared, I'll be on here for you. You can text me. If you have my number, you can text me and ask your question, or you can put those on Facebook. You can put it in the chat and ask your question, and I'll answer your question. But I want to be able to help you in this area so you can understand that what you do should be a blessing to your child, a blessing to your family. You should raise them. Joshua said, as far as me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Question tonight is, who or what are you serving? Because when you serve the Lord and your house serves the Lord, one thing about your house will never be confused. All right? So I'm going to end it right there. I ain't got no questions. I just wanted to share with you tonight, wanted to encourage you tonight. As we're fasting and praying, stay faithful to your fast, stay consistent in your praying, and watch what God will do. Remember, this week we're fasting and praying for family and friends. And what there could not have been a more appropriate motivational Thursday. This is Thursday Turn Up than this right here. So thank you so much for allowing me to share with you. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you. And thank you for coming on to be a part of this. So we thank you. And I love you to life, and you can't do nothing about it. You have a blessed rest of your night. Quarter out.